welcome to At the Catch. I'm your host, Brian Payne, and today I'm happy to have as our guest Chris Slotten. Chris is very unique in that he is the only person we know of that is on the Ergatta platform rowing on an Ergatta machine as well as a Concept2. Welcome, Chris.
Well, thanks for having me.
All right, well, we've got a lot of things to cover today, but first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've been rowing for, let's see, a little over a year. So I started last August, late August. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I've been here for quite a few years now, since 2008, originally from Southern California. And yeah, just been really enjoying the Ergatta platform. It's not something I had done previously. I wasn't a rower in any way, shape, or form. It was something that was more of a whim, or it felt like it was going to be something that I'd really gravitate to and enjoy, and it certainly has been that, and it's been a real fun experience, and it's highly addictive for sure.
That's for sure. I always tell people it's the best kept secret in home fitness.
Absolutely. We're
Complete
trying.
body workout, easy on the joints.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, all of the above, and just a lot more interesting than staring at a treadmill, readout, or even the PM5 on the Concept2. It's tough to stare at the little screen and just watch the numbers go.
That's for sure. That's for sure. So, what's your routine with rowing? How often do you do it? What are your favorite types of workouts?
So I try to row 6 days. I try to take one day off. It's hard sometimes because I like to row, but I row in the mornings. Usually I get up early, I walk the dog, and then I hit the rower and try to get it done before work. So try to do 40 minutes or so. Depends on the day. I
Okay.
do a mix of pulse, a lot of meteor, some races, and open rows, and that's pretty much my platform. Um, Currently, I'm kind of modifying the Pete plan, which is kind of a rowing plan that's out there in the world on the internet that kind of help you get a little bit faster. And so I'm using that plan and trying to adapt it to what we have available in different workouts, because there's some stuff that works for that. So that gives you a mix of like hit, and then long rested rows or recovery rows, and then endurance row, and then some higher distance, faster pace stuff, and then again mixing in those recoveries in between.
Okay.
So it
Well,
gives you kind of the full gamut, a little bit of everything.
is it working?
Well, it's early. It's early because I just started that a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know yet. Um, but yeah, I kind of, the first year of rowing, you kind of get your early gains, and it's everything improves, and it's fun to watch because you are always beating your previous personal best, and then you hit the plateau, and you've got to try to work a lot harder to just get a little bit faster, and that's kind of where I'm at right now, which is not the fun part. It's a lot more fun to get the big gains. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Understood. Well, so now you have a complicated um, bit of math to do because you've got your Ergatta mileage and then you've got your Concept2 mileage, and they aren't apples to apples. We'll just acknowledge that for the people that are gonna be one way or another. But so be it. So you row a couple million plus meters a year then?
Yeah, so I guess my first year I did about 2.5 million.
Okay.
So I've got almost 1.8 on the Ergatta, on the water rower, and I'm up to like almost 800 on the Concept2 Ergatta platform, but almost to a million on the C2 altogether. Because I
Okay.
bought the C2 before I even knew Ergatta was coming out with the C2 platform, so that was kind of a nice benefit. Which is funny because I had it, and I had both, and I was probably doing, for like 3 months, I was doing about 40,000 meters on the Concept2, and everything else was on the WaterRower on the Ergatta platform, because it's just a lot more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as in May, I was able to get the Ergatta platform for the C2, and now I'm just pretty much exclusively on the C2 because that's where I want to work right now. But it's without that Ergatta platform, it just isn't. It wasn't enough to keep me that interested, and I kept going back over to the WaterRower.
Yeah. Understood, understood. So I just had an epiphany. Last year you joined us for Mordor, and I've noticed you do like doing some of the longer rows, which is
Mm-hmm.
great. Um, but you did Mordor after like 2 months on the platform.
Yeah, I did it Thanksgiving morning. Actually, I was late because I had a conflict on the actual day, but I did it Thanksgiving morning, which I don't recommend because yeah, I was crippled and needed a nap afterwards. But yeah, it was pretty fast, and I really ramped up very very quickly. I was in decent shape. I walked a lot and lifted, but um, it just was taking too much time to get my workout in, and I thought this would be a lot faster, and it surely is. You can burn a whole lot more calories much more quickly on the rower than you can on anything else that I've done.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, that's so I know you're going to want to do more Mordor again this year.
Absolutely.
How much time do you think you're going to take off?
Well, I haven't decided which rower to put it on yet. I mean, or to do it on. I mean, I've done the half marathon on the C2, and it was like an hour and a half versus I think it was an hour 18 on the WaterRower. But if yeah, I think I'm gonna do it on the WaterRower just to see how much time I can take off, and then I'll eventually do one on the Concept2. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know how much. It should be quite a bit because I was still relatively new
Hmm.
uh, as a rower at that point. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, take a little bit. I had a pretty good row, so I was under 3 hours as I recall. I think I was around 250.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, maybe five minutes at least.
Well, here's an opportunity to have a big gain. Now next year, knocking off 5 minutes might be more of a challenge.
It might be impossible. Yeah, I'll be just trying to hold on at that point. So at some point you transition from improving to just holding your time. So I'm
Sure.
waiting to hit that spot. I'm hopefully not there yet.
Well, another benefit of rowing on the water rower for that event is you can hear your TV better as you watch your Lord of the Rings movie of choice.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've got the big screen ready, so I'm good.
Well, actually, that's a good segue for kind of what brought us together. I saw your pictures of your little pain cave there, and I thought, a lot of people have interesting setups, things that work for them. And I thought, let's go to going back to, I guess it's an MTV idea of the Pimp My Ride. So like let's see Pimp My Erg. I'm not going to copyright those names or anything, but I thought, well, let's go into people's pain caves and see their setup and see what they do, and it's going to give other people ideas. Say, hey, I can do that. Hey, that's a neat idea. Let me try that. So you have graciously been our first person to share your setup with us, and you shared some pictures with me, and we're going to go through them, and I'll put them up on the screen so everyone can see what we're talking about,
Right.
and just let's go through them one at a time and just tell us a few things that work for you, how you did them, easy, hard. Some things are people might say that's crazy, but so be it. We're all a little crazy.
Yeah, I'm a little extra on my setup, and my daughter teases me about it. So yeah, she was making fun of me for having such an elaborate setup, but it works for me.
Well, as you tell kids, it's like there's worse things to blow your money on. If
Absolutely.
I'm blowing my money on a fitness habit, it's good for you, kids.
Yeah, yeah. The wife doesn't get upset about that.
Yeah. All right. Actually, that brings me to one more point. Do my kids? It's funny. I row upstairs, and I have kids on either side of this room, and then they're downstairs, and they know when I'm rowing because they'll generally hear the TV and they'll hear the subtle flushing noises, and it's not disruptive. It's calming. Do your wife and kids notice the difference between the water rower and the concept? I mean, what's the sound like in your pain cave there?
Well, so my room is the room over the garage, so that's one of the reasons we'll get into the pictures. But I've got a portable air conditioner because it's the room that of course, doesn't have as good a insulation, and it's real hot in the summer, and you just in Charlotte it gets quite warm. So
Mhm.
I'm not that close to everybody else, thankfully, because generally I'm playing very loud heavy metal, and and it would be pretty disruptive to anybody in an adjacent room.
Okay, so your neighbors think you have a garage band when in
Yeah,
fact you're just rowing. Okay, got
absolutely.
it. All right, let's look at the first picture you have there. You got them side by side. I've noticed you've got lots of fans.
Yeah, heat management's important for me. And then, like I said, this is the room that's over the garage, so even it's not always cool. Um, but yeah, I tend to generate an awful lot of heat, and I try to manage that. So I've got, yeah, the big tall fan in the corner kind of works for the water rower, and then the big fan on the right kind of works for the Concept 2, and then the white unit in the middle is the AC, the portable AC that just kind of keeps the room manageably cool.
Very good, very good. Yeah. All
And then
right,
yeah,
so then you got the big TV there. So we'll go to the second image, and
yep.
this is kind of neat that you cast images from either Ergatta or it looks like you have a camera set up so you can have a side view for your stroke analysis.
Yeah, that's been helpful. That's been I've got just a camera, some little camera I bought off of Amazon that connects via HDMI to the back of the TV, so just a straight cable, so there's not any delay, uh,
Okay.
or minimal delay, and it really helps me to see when my form is breaking down, and which happens most of the time. So as much as I work on it, it's pretty bad, but I'm trying at least.
Mhm.
So I can do that, and the TV swivels. It's on a pivot mount, so I can swivel it in front of either of the machines, or kind of just tilt it either way. But yeah, I use the TV for that, for the side view, or I can replicate the Ergatta screen up top to make it bigger, because if I'm rolling without my glasses, I can't see very well. So sometimes sometimes that's a good idea. I can put the rowing scenery from YouTube up there, or if you can even do a YouTube workout that's out there, and put that up there. Or for Mordor, I'll be putting Lord of the Rings on the big screen.
Absolutely,
So the big
absolutely.
screen it's on pretty much every time I row. I use it for one thing or another.
Okay. One thing I've been planning to do, I haven't figured out, well, there's always some little technical struggle, is to use the Ergatta AI tool on
Mhm.
your phone and cast that to a screen in front of you. So you have a side view analyzing your stroke with the little stick figure and see it in front of you.
Yeah, I think anytime I've tried to do something from the phone, there's too much of a lag.
That's
So
that's the problem.
that was my first try, which was like doing it on a Zoom or something like that, and it was a half a stroke behind, so it just didn't work. So that's why I went to the hardwire.
Okay. Good plan. Good plan. All right. Let's see. Next image, and there you are, Mordor, ready to go.
Ready to go.
Um, this it's the perfect movie to row to for 3 hours. And I have to ask a question here. It looks like you have a small room off the side where some hobbits live.
Yeah, actually, that's just a John Malkovich door. If you ever saw that movie, Being John Malkovich, so that's it's just a storage area,
Sure.
but I always enjoyed that movie, so that's they always get referred to as the John Malkovich door.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And for
All
those
right.
who haven't
Let's see
seen
it.
it, I recommend it highly. It's a funny movie.
Very good. And the fifth image, it looks like you got an extra big setup for the race, which is great.
Yeah, that's fun. So it just makes it a little bit easier to keep an eye on things, and also I'm a little bit taller in the torso, so when I'm looking at the Ergatta screen, sometimes my chin's down. I'm not in it, and it doesn't help my posture. So if I have it up high, it helps me keep my head up and keep better rowing posture.
Okay. Now, what technology do you use to replicate that image for the big?
Um, yeah, it's just a hard wire. There's an HDMI out on the Ergatta tablet, and so you just connect that straight into the TV, and it's super simple. It's
Okay.
about that. That one was the easiest one. That's what I first used it for, just that and YouTube, and then eventually got the camera to try to do a little bit better stroke review.
Okay. Very good. All right. And then our last image. There you are with a nice rowing scene,
Yeah,
calming,
that opens it up
serene.
for YouTube or any other rowing scenery that you have. So it doesn't have to be. I mean, I've seen a couple of people kind of complain a little bit that they've watched every scene so many times. I mean, you got people like Stick and the Princess who have rowed so many meters they know every scene by heart. So if you need new material, you can just pop in a YouTube scene and you're off to the races with something fresh.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. That gives some good ideas, and I'll make the invitation to anyone else out there that's watching that if you have a crazy setup, please let me know, and we'll get you on an episode so you can share your setup. All right. Well, Chris, thank you very much for being on the show. Appreciate coming into your home. I'm actually glad you're even in your pain cave right now. Is that a bonus office you have, or did you do that just for the episode?
No, actually, my office is just to the left here. So as I'm working, my rower is staring at me, telling me I need to get to work
Yeah.
on rowing. And then yeah, it's a bigger room, so it's kind of a multi-purpose room.
Yeah. So you
But
can
yeah,
work.
it's my home office and pain cave.
Yeah. So I've got an hour until that next Zoom meeting. Let me see if how many meters I can get in.
Yeah, that doesn't usually happen. It's my days are pretty hectic, but before and after for sure.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks again, and keep on rowing. And look forward to seeing your posts on the Facebook and Reddit groups.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks
Brian.
again.
It's great to meet you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye.